Good afternoon, everybody. What time is it? It's high noon. It's howdy doody time. Oh, I'm showing my age. How many of y'all remember howdy doody? Well, howdy doody. Howdy doody. Good to have you with me. Good to see everybody. Oh, my computer is running slow. Hmm. The devil wants to get you every which way. Every which way. Why is it so slow? I refreshed. Wednesday. Everybody's prepared for it. Get your morning coffee. We're ready for the afternoon. Right. Give everybody a chance to sign in, check in, say a few hellos, and get down to fun, fun, fun. My computer keeps up with me. Hi, Italian. How you doing? So bear with me. There we go. Okay. So we have Casey, Italian Princess. Good to have y'all with me. Hopefully, you have a fun, exciting day. Learn a few things. Have a good chat. Talk about whatever everybody wants. Want to join me? You know how to come in. Or when you click the button. Good afternoon, Carol. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. Fantastic day so far. Good hump day. Good hump day. Been going around watching other people, seeing what they're doing. My goodness. See if my tablet's any faster. Well, hopefully we have a good time today. Oh, okay. Better type that in because she's not. I should have had this up and running, but I found my other phone was dead. I wasn't paying attention. Doing everything else. I had this up and running, but I found my other phone was dead. Hey, Aruba. Good to have you with us. Oh, no. Let's have prayers for Willie. Everybody say their prayer. Well, I'm getting errors and everything else. I don't know what's going on. So forgive me. Forgive me if I stutter and stammer and trying to get this going. What? What in the world is that? What's going on here? Okay. I just want to say a few things before I really get started. We've had a few people in here trying to fluster up everybody, come in and try to drag things out. I just want to say that everybody's welcome here. Everybody is welcome here. We're fighting for freedom for all. But if you just want to harass, this is my channel. It's not freedom of speech in my channel. If you don't go along with what I lay down and say, we'll give you the boot. Just pure and simple. Facts of life. We have freedom of speech in the country. But when you're on here, we go by my rules. Or if my mods decide they want to boot you, it's fine. We come in here to get along, to talk about things. If you want to talk about things other and drag things on, start your own channel. I'll come and visit you in your channel. I'm not afraid to show my face, or apparently some are afraid to show theirs. Yeah, that's possible, Casey. Oh, that's Twitch. That is Twitch. You're right. Well, I don't depend on Twitch too much. There's not too much going through Twitch, so I won't worry about it today. I won't worry about it today. I love to talk to people. I love to discuss things. Sometimes people like to take the devil's advocate. I do it occasions. I do it occasions just to bring out comments and thoughts and things like that. But we're here to get along. What we need more in this world is love for everybody. No matter what position you take, agree to disagree. There's a lot of history, a lot of things have happened. It hasn't been good, but we can't keep pointing the finger back and forth from past history. History is there so we don't repeat the same dumb mistakes. And doing some research today or yesterday in between, you find that newer articles are slanted more towards a liberal standpoint. The older history books mostly told the truth. Mostly told the truth. You could go on the news to Cronkite's news, you could get the truth. But now everything that pops up, they talk about it, right, wrong, or indifferent. So we have, you're right, Carol, we have to respect each other. I respect you, you respect me. I love to talk. I love to, well, I don't love to talk, but I love to talk to people and with people. And we're going to have disagreements. That's for sure. If we didn't have disagreements, this world would be an awful boring place. We'd be going around as zombies. Yep, 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 yep. So let's zippity doo dah, zippity yay. My oh my, what a wonderful day. Heavenly sunshine heading my way. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. Oh, Mr. Bluebird's on my shoulder. And that's enough. So we've got 10 people in here. I'm seeing 4. In chat, let's talk about it. Don't be afraid. I don't bite. And if I did, probably wouldn't be too hard. And, I haven't had my rabies shots. So you might have to worry about that. Might have to worry about that. I don't know. I don't know. Glenn Beck woke you up, huh? Good afternoon, Jethro. Glad to see you. Number 3. All right. All right. Hey, Andy. Good to have you here. By the way, are you from Canada or Germany? A little bit confused there. I tell you what, we're fighting for the whole world, no matter where you are. The whole world. We need peace, love, and harmony, and the pursuit of happiness. We had to. Ooh, dropping everything. Canada. Okay. Canada, eh? Yeah, my oldest daughter lives in Nova Scotia, outside of Halifax. She was in Canso, which is the northeasternest point in the continent. Boy, it's a beautiful place. Beautiful place up there. I love it. I love it. We got to fight for everybody. Everybody. For God and country. It's what it's all about. God and country. And if you don't believe in God, all I can do is send you my love. Because that's what God's all about love. Love and forgiveness. Love and forgiveness. Now, how many have heard of yellow journalism? Yellow journalism. Whoa. That's for sure, Andy. They sure did. It was a battle. It's still mixed with everything. French, British, you name it. Canada's a beautiful country, and I always question what we call us Americans and them not, because it's all America, North America. Yellow journalism. Never have. Well, this stuff going on with the news is new, but let me see. Sorry, but learn my screen. What's going on? Okay. I might have to get a regular computer. Because what in the world? Did I do that? Sorry, folks. There we go. Did journalism fuel the outbreak of the Spanish-American War? Does anybody know about the Spanish-American War? Some of the cartoons back in the day. You can see all kinds of little gullible refuse passion, everything. I'm saying crazy. The Spanish War was because used to own Cuba. And somehow or another, let me play the video. No. Sorry. I should have had it queued up to begin with.
Are you ready to see a fixer-upper?
Oh, everybody watch. I don't even watch Max.
The Spanish colonial government of Cuba was abusing and oppressing.
Can you hear?
There was no question about that.
It was also a time when the great nations of the world were growing colonies. It would risk being overpowered.
There was a group in the Republican Party, especially, But even before the opportunity arose, this had been for excuse, if you want to, for the States to claim military bases overseas, naval bases overseas, territories overseas, to expand American military.
Equally important was America's appetite for foreign resources. Americans wanted to have economic relations
A lot of sugar.
with Cuba. They didn't want its crops to be only Spain. They wanted our companies to profit from them. So it was a combination of
Interest.
And so those people who looked at a map of the world, folks like Theodore Roosevelt, in part, these were folks who thought in very broad terms, and they had this notion that the United States could expand its power for the welfare of the United States and, frankly, for the welfare of the world.
Theodore Roosevelt, an obstreperous, controversial character who hungered for war with Spain.
He was probably the most influential person in America regarding American foreign. An evil person pushed the United States into war against Spain. It was Theodore Roosevelt.
Although McKinley remained wary of the process, he agreed to protect American interests there. On February 15, 1898, the USS exploded, killing 2 servicemen. Although no one knew what had caused the explosion, public outcry made it nearly impossible for McKinley to return to the 25th of April, 1898. America declared war on Spain. Roosevelt resigned his executive position and organized a volunteer regiment to fight in the war.
Most people thought Theodore Roosevelt was at least mild. For personal, temperamental reasons, Roosevelt had
Victory over Spain, America became an imperial, taking possession of Cuba, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. The USS Maine was probably sunk by an accidental engine room explosion for years.
Okay, come back. Okay. We get back to it. Sorry about the slowness. Now, the newspapers back at the time were run by Hearst and William Hearst, and I can't remember the other one. Let me scroll down here and see. Anyway, they had back and forth, and they would tell stories like that to get the government to do things. Like the cartoons say, build up war like children's blocks back at the time. Oh, Joseph Pulitzer, there it is. Joseph Pulitzer's big time media back in those days because they didn't have TV. All that was the newspapers. So they did basically what our media is doing now. They told the government what they should do and what they shouldn't do. They tried to run the country through the newspaper, and it brought up a big stink about yellow journalism. Yeah, and yes, that's true, Jethro. And the Spanish-American War was basically won by diphtheria, mosquitoes, mosquito bites killed a lot of the Spanish. That's why they called it the yellow journalism, because during the time, yellow fever was big time. It was big time. It killed a lot of the Spanish soldiers. And the United States doctors and everything, they come up with the solution that it came from the mosquitoes, and they fought the mosquitoes too, which the Spanish didn't know about. That's basically this. This has not happened. I mean, this is not new to us, and we're going through the same thing. Going through the same thing. You can look it up online if you're interested. But as one reason why we have Cuba today. We have again down to here real quick. See how much they pay per month for. It was like $1 a month they paid to Cuba to keep Guantanamo Bay. And Castro has never cashed any of the checks. And I guess they still aren't, whoever is in control of Cuba. So this is not new at all. They're using old tricks in the book to do their bidding and get the point across. I don't know what's going on today. I have a good signal, but one thing about live streaming, in case you didn't know, we get our internet at a certain speed, whether it's 50 megabyte to 1 gig or whatever, and you can get like most of the companies, you can get at least 500 gig megabytes. But upload, which is what we live stream on, upload to the server, it's like anywhere from 5 to 20. So depending on your upload speed, people look at the internet speed and they say, well, this is good. But it is the upload speed. So if anybody's out there that knows can increase the upload speed or what, let us know. Let us know. I keep forgetting to do the research on that side of it. But that's why we get our choppiness, our flickers, because it's a whole different signal we're putting out, not bringing in. We bring in fast, but the going out's a lot slower. So hence the buffering and what have you on live streams. So if anybody knows off the top of their head if there's any way they could correct that and make it higher, let me know. Let all of the live streamers know. It's weird how it is, but that's the way it is. You'd think they'd be all on the same thing, upload and download, the same speed. But because of the bands and everything, it's pretty technical stuff. Pretty technical stuff. And there are hacks. They're probably hidden away good. There are hacks for it. Anybody want to talk about the Spanish-American War and the yellow journalism? Give me a question. Say something that's about. But basically, we've been through this before, and they've learned to expand on it. Now, next subject that we've previously talked about, what were the Jim Crow laws? Does any of the 8 people here right now know what the Jim Crow laws were? Anybody off the top of their head know what they actually were, what it was, why it was put into place? Because we hear a lot of talk about it. We hear it thrown about a lot. But nobody can tell you what it actually is. It's just one of those words like mega and different names and different population. It's just one of those bad words. Bad words. But they don't know what it is. Don't know what it means. Don't know how it started. So let me pop this up here. Try it along. See what it was. Oh, I see. Okay. Some of it's hard to see. Some of it's hard to see. And everything. Jim Crow laws were a collection of state and local statutes that legalized racial segregation. Named after a black minstrel show character, the laws, which has existed for about 100 years from the post-Civil War era until 1968. 1968. And they were meant to marginalize African Americans by denying them the right to vote, hold jobs, get education, and other opportunities. Those who attempted to defy the Jim Crow laws often faced arrest, fines, jail sentences, violence, and death. We go on down here. Start about 1865 during Andrew Jackson, which abolished slavery in the United States. The black codes were strict local and state laws that detailed where and when and how formerly enslaved people would work or could work, and for how much compensation. The code appeared throughout the South as a legal way to put black citizens into indentured servitude, which is basically paid slavery, had to work a certain time to get their rights. And it was to take their voting rights away and control where they live, how they traveled, and how to seize their children for labor purposes. This goes on to talk about it. The legal system, the black citizens, with former Confederate soldiers working as police and judges, making it difficult for African Americans to win court cases, ensuring that they were subject to the Black Code. These codes worked in conjunction with labor camps for the incarcerated, where prisons were treated and enslaved people. Black offenders typically received longer sentences than their white equals, and because the grueling work often did not live out their entire sentence. So it's hard labor, just like slavery. So you see the next paragraph coming up. Who was the one that really made sure it stayed in place? The Ku Klux Klan. So the first paragraph During the Reconstruction era, local governments, as well as the National Democratic Party, and who else? President Andrew Jackson, thwarted efforts to help Black Americans move forward. Well, I'll be doggone. And this is from the History Channel, so, it's not fake news. It's well established, been around a while, a little bit slanted, but right there is the truth. The Democratic Party was responsible for the Ku Klux Klan. Violence on the rise, making a danger a regular aspect of American lives. Black schools were vandalized, destroyed, bands of white people attacked, tortured, and lynched Black citizens in the night, and families were attacked and forced off their lands all across the South. Well, 100 years ago this year, a town nearby Orlando called Ocoee, Ocoee, murdered a lot of Black folks because of something like this. It was well known up until very recently, maybe 30 years, maybe less. Ocoee was well known. Blacks stay away. Unfortunately. All this grew from the KKK and was KKK enforced. If the cities couldn't do it on their own, the KKK come in, finish the job for them, for the Democrats. And we all know that the South was mainly Democrat. Hey, Annie, how you doing? How you doing? And it messed everything up. Well, this is all about the Jim Crow. And the Nazis even used it for their principles. Prohibition. Black codes limited where they could go, what they could do. And then they expanded it. Big cities in the South weren't wholly beholden to Jim Crow laws. And sometimes Black Americans found more freedom in them, in the big cities, which is why big cities, a lot of Black population. That's where they went to get away from it. If they had a farm, they'd probably lose it and be indentured again. Getting paid for it, but still slaves nonetheless. Low wages, barely enough to get by. And it went all over the country. They were forbidden in the public parks, theaters. Restaurants were segregated. They had their own parts of the restaurant, their own parts of the movie theater, the waiting rooms at the bus stations, train stations, water fountains. A lot of places, double water fountains marked white and black. Restrooms, building entrances, elevators, cemeteries, even amusement park cashiers. Wow. And I remember some of it because I was probably an older teen when all this was taken out, and later. They couldn't live in white neighborhoods, forced to the public pools, phone booths, hospitals, asylums, jails, residential homes for elderly and handicapped, everywhere. And this has not been too long ago. Not too long ago. Not too long at all. Some states require separate textbooks for black and white students. New Orleans mandated the segregation of prostitutes according to race. In Atlanta, they were given a different Bible for white people to swear on. Marriage and cohabitation, between white and blacks were strictly forbidden in most southern states. And there were many black and white couples that were killed, tortured, you name it, all the way up until probably the early 70s. All kinds of cases. There were several rock shows that were busted up because of people fighting against people that come in trying to be desegregated. Interracial couples coming in, they throw them out and start fights. And some were pretty big riots. This is all from Jim Crow. This is why Jim Crow is a bad word. And we do nothing now, even close. You're right, Annie. That's the way that the Democratic Party found to keep the black people in slavery. And a lot of them didn't have anything else to do, so they stayed on the plantations, farms, and what have you. They pretty much were okay. But the ones that tried to do it on their own were the ones that were targeted and picked on. If they tried to advance themselves, get out of their situation, that's when everybody went against them. And they kept it on and on and on. Well, we know. It's a very bad time. Very bad time. That's why we have history, to look at this and say, shame on us, and correct this stuff. Make sure we live by the Constitution and do it equally to all races, creeds, and colors, and be united in it. But there's nothing different between any of us except for skin color and some facial features. Nothing. We all bleed red. A lot of fought and died for this country in the name of freedom. That's what we're fighting for. Not to bring Jim Crow laws back or try to be Jim Crow. I mean, you can see from this that it was purely pathetic. Yes, they're doing the same thing with the illegal immigrants. That's right, Chaplain. They bring them in here, pay them a low dollar. It's a lot better than they were in the other countries. But it's not as good as everything else. And what it does, it brings down the wages for everybody. It brings it down to cheap labor, almost slave labor. And a lot of them that are here illegally, it basically is slave labor or indentured servants that they don't have any time to get out of it. They're in it until they find something better to improve themselves. You know, that's the great thing about this country. Even they can better themselves. Depends on who they are. Black leader, Ira B. Wells. If you want to study up on it, go on. Look up the Jim Crow laws. I'm trying to find it. Museum. I'm not sure where it is. I believe it's in. The children were hung, burned alive, shot, drowned, beaten to death by white mobs between 1877 and 1950. 1950, the year before I was born. They have a museum. 1919, race riots. 25 across the United States over several months in 1919, called the Red Summer. They charged the black communities with conspire to conquer white America. And that was the big thing. Oh, they're trying to take us over. They're trying to conquer us. That was the big talking point, even while I was growing up and into my teens until the Civil Rights Act come about, which is not bulletproof. It has so many flaws and errors that still think they're enslaved. Still think they're enslaved. And then the Great Depression come and made that chasm wider. Made it wider. So you can see all through, ever since the Civil War until about 1980, story after story after story. See, when did they end? In 1948, President Harry Truman ordered integration of the military. 1954, Brown versus Board of Education. That's another thing that everybody needs to look up and study. Educational segregation was unconstitutional, bringing to the end of the era of separate but equal education. It was all separate. I remember in Alabama, and I can't recall the governor's name, but he was very famous, very popular at the time because of his views on education. Something going on, connection going off and on. I saw that in somebody else's chat this morning. Oh, I know. I think it was Red Cactus. Red Cactus. Get back to where I was. Separate but equal. But the governor of Alabama would not let the black girl go into the school, even after this was signed. I watched it on TV, black and white. I'll think of his name tomorrow. In '64, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, which legally ended the segregation that had been institutionalized by the Jim Crow law. '65, Voting Rights Act, all the efforts to keep minorities from voting. All this time, the KKK and the other groups, the Democrats, kept black folks from voting up until 1965. I mean, they could vote, but they were threatened, terrorized, beaten, you name it, if they tried. So they say, why bother? When we talk about Lyndon Johnson signing the Civil Rights Act, a lot of Democrats say, well, we switched then. We switched. Yeah, they went the other way. They used reverse psychology. Well, if we can't keep them in control, we'll let them think they're getting control and work for us, think they're getting control, but still hold them back, which happened a lot. And it was all under the Democratic hand. They might have stopped the KKK, but they started the other groups, which you all know are going on right now. They're going on now. We had the Summer of Love last year. And they think that the party and the orchestrators will not turn against them. And that's the sad part of it. They throw Jim Crow at us and keep us off the nose, keep us fighting against that. Really, keeping a handle on what's going on as far as racism. They're extending the racism, extending it, using terms like Jim Crow. That's why we have to stand together, all of us, white, black, Chinese, Indian, you name it. Stand together and fight for the pursuit of happiness on an even term. An even term. That's why we need to keep the Constitution intact. Because really, the Constitution was not even handled right back then. And to say that one generation's responsible for other generations is ludicrous. All through the centuries, there's been things like this going on. Every race, every color, every creed. Been slaves, unequal justice, you name it. And that's the thing our forefathers sat down and thought about. That's why they wrote the Constitution the way they did. But as we can see, whether by intention, miswording, or straight out intentional, we've made mistakes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Chaplain. Said it right out loud. Right out loud. And guess what? Been 50 years. Been 50 years. It's not over. It's not over. It's up to we, the people, as we're doing now. Stand up, talk about it, educate people. If you don't know about something, study it instead of using it as a term to make somebody mad. Jim Crow was terrible. I grew up to it, saw it, rejected it then, and all nationalities basically, most of them don't want to spoil their lineage. Not racism, it's pride in their heritage, in their culture, in their race. That's not racism, that's pride. Pride in what you are. Thank you, Annie. Hugs to you too. Or Ann, I'm sorry. I'm looking at two at the same time. How is Texas? I enjoyed your video with DC Joe. Looked like he had a good time getting lost in those corrals. Y'all had a blast. Y'all had a blast. Love it. Love it. Folks, this is what we're up against. They're trying to confuse us, divide us, keep us on our toes. So we as individuals have to educate ourselves in what these things refer to and not just throw it around lamely like some of the people that come in, talk about Jim Crow and how we're Jim Crow and again. Boy, something really is going on with the internet. I saw that. Your grandkids helped you out. That was pretty good. That's usually what happens. we get stuck and they have to come to our rescue. We have to look out for those grandkids. We have to change what's going on. That's that's exactly right, Ann. It all comes down to love. And that's all written in the good book in the Ten Commandments. Written plain and simple. Love your neighbor as yourself. And we just don't do it. We just don't do it. We have to love everybody. And basically, that's what God and Christianity is about. Love. I watched a fellow talk to a demon. She wasn't a devil worshiper, but she said she talked to the spirits. She was a medium. The best presentation that I've seen in a long time. I would play it, but it's a little bit lengthy. I think I saved it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Let's see if I can find it first. I didn't have it saved up in my queue. Queue or keek? Or keech? Don't know. Let me close this. Let me close this one up here so I don't use too much computer power. Laptop is just not good for typing. I put more memory in it. Opened it up, put more memory in it, but I can't change the video, and the video memory is so I might have to go out and get a regular, or less a gaming computer. La, da, 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 da. That's right. That's right, Ann. If God cannot love me, if God can love me, how can I not love? That is exactly right. Boy, this thing is slow. Here it is. It's 12 minutes. Should I play it or not? What say you? Oh, turn this off. The video editor that might help. Doesn't want to cooperate. Oh, I hate spending money to get a new computer, but I'm gonna have to if I continue doing this.
When this woman said that she spoke to familiar spirits, commonly called, I knew it was going to be a
Oh,
spiritual. I tried my best, but she just refused. Suddenly, her atheist boyfriend realized who I was and said that he was friends with a well-known atheist, Matt DeLay. If you know who I am, encourage her to come on camera. That's how I got this interview. I think there's an afterlife. There's a lot of people say I don't know.
Because I have spiritual guides that tell me otherwise.
What is you're a what?
I'm a spiritual healer.
So what's a spiritual guide?
They're spirits that don't have to come back and relive lifetimes. They just help us make it through the ones we're in.
Would they be called familiar spirits?
Yeah, I mean, some people refer it to like they're familiar.
This.
What does that mean?
Like my ancestors.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. Tell me how he speaks to you.
I guess most people would consider it like telepathic.
Just in you get
No, I hear him. I hear his voice.
physically?
Yeah.
Now your earrings, what are those? What does that mean?
I just like the style. They don't really mean anything to me specifically.
The occult?
People can say that.
Often in comments I'll see things like, why didn't you just cast those demons out of her? Well, Jesus said if you do and the person's not repentant, they're going to get 7 times worse. She needs to hear the gospel. The gospel is the power of God to salvation. So I don't want to poke her in the eye. Mouth. Do you believe in God?
I believe that there's a source or that
Is it the sun, the moon, the stars, sea, puppies and kittens? Because this energy is pretty intelligent. I can't make it.
energy can do anything. Everybody is energy.
As I get older,
Yeah, could move on to the next.
is there heaven?
I don't believe in heaven.
So what is it next lifetime?
There's different dimensions
Oh boy.
and realms that we move into depending on.
Let me pause for a second. There we go. Oh no.
I want to find my destination.
Well,
Oh, the devil's really messing with me. The devil is really trying to interfere today.
how you live,
You have to be a good person.
right?
That's nature.
Exactly.
So,
I have actually. I grew up in a religious family.
Catholic?
No, just wait for. It's just not what I believe. I just never that you have to. So, gospel, like yeah, in the Bible. Is that what you're?
no. That's the gospel. The word gospel just means good means. So I'm gospel with thought
Good.
through some of the 10 Commandments.
I mean, you can't. I know I'm a.
As if you're told in your life, told a few.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think I have.
have you ever used God's name in?
I mean, consider using it.
That if you commit adultery with lust.
I look with lust often. Don't we all?
Here's a summation to see how you're going to do on Judgment Day. You've told me you're a liar and an adulterer at heart. So if God judges you by the 10 Commandments, we've looked at 4, on Judgment Day, would you be innocent or guilty?
I mean, if I believed in God in that way, then I'd probably be guilty, right?
Yeah, would you go to heaven or hell?
I don't believe in either. So if you're going with the gospel or the Bible, yeah.
Well, that concerns me. I've just met you, but I really care about you. I
Don't
don't
worry about me because there is no hell and I'm not going to be going there.
Never be discouraged when somebody says, I don't believe in hell or I don't believe in the Bible. They're called unbelievers for a reason. Hell exists whether we believe in it or not. Our unbelief doesn't change realities. But don't get into an argument. Don't get sidetracked. If someone says, I don't believe the Bible, don't let that worry you. Remember, Jesus didn't say, go into all the world and convince them that the Bible's the Word of God. The early Christians didn't have a New Testament. It wasn't compiled. There was no such thing as a printing press. Most of them couldn't read. They were saved by the power of the gospel. The Great Commission is to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Jesus said, repent and believe the gospel. When someone believes the gospel, God then opens the eyes of their understanding and the Bible begins to make. As according to the Bible, do you remember the Bible verse that says what it is?
No,
You may be familiar with it. The wages of sin is death. Ever heard that in your Christian upbringing?
I have.
It's saying that God is paying you in death for your sins. Like a judge looks at a heinous criminal that's committed multiple murders and says, you've earned the death sentence. This is your wages because you've committed multiple murders and you're not concerned. Sin is so serious in the eyes of a holy God is deadly serious about sin. So that brings us to the gospel. And I appreciate your patience with me. You've been very gracious. Do you know what God did for guilty sinners so we wouldn't have to go to hell?
Oh, he sent Jesus, killed his only son, hung him on a cross so that everybody would worship him. And
Your theology is a little off, but it's pretty close.
yeah,
The Bible says God was manifest in the flesh, the creator, became perfect, sinless human being. Jesus was the express image of the invisible God, and he gave his life on the cross to take the punishment for our sins. Most of us know that, but we don't know this. And Mindy, this is going to change everything for you if you can get a grip of it. Yeah, well, just give it a try. Give it a try. The 10 Commandments are called the moral law. You and I broke the law. Jesus came and paid the fine. That's what happened on that cross. That's why he said, it is finished just before he died. You're saying paid in full. If you're in court and you've got speeding fines, a judge will let you go if someone else pays them. So you're out of here. You're guilty, but you can leave because someone paid your fine. Well, God can release you from the power of death and take the death sentence off you, legally let you live forever because the fine was paid on that cross 2,000 years ago. And then Jesus rose from the dead and defeated your greatest enemy. All you have to do to find everlasting life is repent of your sins, let them go, say, God, forgive me, I'm a sinner, and then trust in Jesus like you trust a parachute. So I got a question for you. If you're going to jump out of a plane 10,000 feet, why would you put on a parachute?
so you don't hit the ground real hard.
Yeah, and your motivation is fear. You fear hitting the ground at 120 miles an hour. And that fear is your friend, not your enemy. And Mindy, because I care about you, I've tried to put the fear of God in you today, hoping, hang on, let me finish, hoping you'll see that fear is your friend, not your enemy, because it'll drive you to God's mercy where you'll find everlasting life. And I want to see you in heaven. I don't want to see you in hell. You're going to think
Well,
about
you won't see me in either. But let me explain. It's not that I don't believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus walked this earth and he lived as an example for how we are meant to live and the energy we're supposed to move in, and that is love, period. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be moving in. So it's not that I don't believe that that was a man that came here and was a living example of how we're supposed to move in this world. But I do not believe that we're supposed to bow down and worship anybody. We all have that energy and that love and the compassion and empathy. We all have the power of that.
Oh, let me just quote the words of Jesus, seeing you respect him. This is what Jesus said: "Fear not him who has power to kill your body and afterwards do no more, but fear him who has power to kill your body and cast your soul into hell." And then he said this: "What should it profit a man or a person if they gain the whole world and lose their own soul?" Mindy, your life is so precious to you. That's what we're talking about today. Not just your eyesight, not just your hearing, your very life. And I don't want you to lose it. And, we talk about worshiping God. Think about it. He gave you everything you've got. The very life in you is a gift of God. The blue sky, the sound of birds, love and laughter, friends and family. All these things are gifts from God. And it's our reasonable service to honor him and love him and serve him. And that includes worshiping him. And it's my delight to worship the God that gave me life and saved me from
I just
death.
don't feel like if there was a God that would, create so much hate or allow so much hate and pain and suffering, explain that to me, to children and things.
That's a great question. Every bit of suffering you see on this earth, including death and disease and all these terrible things and all hatred and murder, comes because we live in a fallen creation. The book of Genesis tells us that. So every time you see suffering, you can say, this is exactly what the Bible says is happening. Because we've rejected God, we use his name as a cuss word, we're under his wrath, and that's why we have suffering and disease. But there's a new kingdom coming. His will will be done on earth. No, we're going to inherit the earth. That's what the Bible says. It's not sitting on a cloud playing a rusty harp. This is a real life, brand new body promised by God, and he'll set up his kingdom on this earth, and his will be done on this earth as it is in heaven. No disease, no pain, no suffering, no death, no evil. And I want you to be part of that kingdom, and you've been so gracious to listen to me.
I grew up in Christianity, and I see the judgment. And
Is your family still Christian?
Yes, and that is thrown at people that don't follow exactly the way that they believe.
Your family really hate people? Is that true? They really hate people?
It's not just my family. It's every Christian experience that I've had.
Well, you don't have one here that hates you. Mindy, I love you. I care about you, and I want to see you in heaven. So please think about what we talked about. Will you do that?
I will think about it.
Thank you so much.
I have thought about it for 44 years, and I've just been led a different way.
Well, you've listened to me today, and that's all I ask. Can I give you a book that I've written?
Oh, sure.
It's called Scientific Facts in the Bible. And thank you again for listening to me. It's just been a delight to talk to you.
Talking to me. I appreciate it.
If you don't know anything about the Coronation Outreach, where we're giving away 15.8 million gospel tracts and 500,000 paperback books free of charge, and we pay the shipping, go to living.com/London for details. Real quick, here are 3 things to help you grow in your faith. The Living Waters Podcast, the Evidence Study Bible, 200 of the most commonly asked questions of the Christian faith, and
So she didn't have the love from her family. So sad. So sad. We have to show everybody love. Even our sinner family. Show them the same love that you would a Christian person. That's what it's all about. This is how we get things done. This is how we get ahead. This is how we get to heaven. This is how we get to heaven. But I think he explained it. He had her pretty much in his grasp, had her attention, had her thinking. You can see the change towards the end there. What say you? Are we still all together? I'm not seeing any comments. I turned my tablet off, so yeah. Okay. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. That was fantastic. I think he explained it very well. Very well. About how we should be. And yes, let's pray for that poor woman's soul. Let's pray, 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 pray for everybody like that. So many. It just, as Christians, we have to help each other. We can't just stab one in the back and neglect them because they don't agree with what we say. Hey, Malcolm, Tanya, I hope you saw the last video. Come from your neck of the woods in the UK. We're doing good here. Doing good. You know, we're fighting for our freedoms. We're fighting for God in the country. We're fighting for God in the world. And the Lord told us that we are the caretakers of this earth. We are the caretakers of this earth. Well, what are we now? What are we now? In all intents and purposes, we are slumlords. Yes, slum lords. Taking advantage of everything and not doing our job, not fixing the broken apartments and the broken refrigerators, the sinks that's leaking, the plumbing that's overflowing. Our slumlords. We have to correct that. We need to bring this up to a 5-star. And how do we do it? Work together. Love one another. Fight for everybody. Everybody deserves their own pieces of freedom and their own pursuit of happiness. And I'm not going to judge one person over the other. The only thing I ask, not push it on my children, and not push it on me, and don't try to make laws that would do that. And that's exactly what we're up against, folks. They're trying to pass laws that they can tell us how we can eat, drink, and breathe. Basically, everything. That's a sad state of affairs that we've come so far to put in servitude as we did in the earlier part of our history. But it'll be all of us enslaved, not just a racial, ethnic background. It'll be each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. And that's everywhere in the world. We let this go through. We're doing a life of despair. A life of despair. We got to get out there and spread the word. Spread to save God and our country and our world. God saved us. We need to do our part to save him and help him. Because the devil, unless we fight back at him, he'll keep going and going and going. Unfortunately, he's in charge of this creation right now. And I dread to think of what will happen if all this comes to pass. What will happen to each and every one of us? Where would we be? What would you do? You can plan and think and save. Save. You can't do supplies run out, especially when there are no supplies. We got to think about these things and think deep. We may not see it now. It might not be happening now, but I guarantee if we go on the same track we're on now, it'll end up that way. And people say, well, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you tell me? And they will come back at you. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you let me know? Why did you point this out to me? Can't make we've all got to band together and let the whole world know that we care and we love them. And that we're doing this for everybody, not just ourselves, not a political faction, but for everybody, everybody, all around the globe. And we have not been doing it. It's like I said, we are slumlords right now. We have to change it. We got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. I can't do it by myself. We need thousands out there telling the story, videoing, live streaming, showing things that are happening around the country. I can't be everywhere, and I can't afford to be everywhere. But I'm trying to do my part, my minuscule part. Probably not even a drop in the bucket. I see Annie Lake. I keep saying Ann Lake in Texas. Good example. She's out there doing her thing, telling a story. All of you out there does the live streaming. Chaplain, all of them out there doing their part, trying to get the word out. Whether the word of God or the word of the Constitution, but they all go hand in hand. The Constitution was built on God. Our founders put it that way. Judeo-Christian philosophy, which I'm glad they did. Other countries don't even have that choice. They don't even have that option, period. They're told what to do. Look at China. They have to get up. They have to report to the government when they get up. They use their cell phones to report what they're doing, where they're going, how they're doing it. And if it's wrong, they use a social they lose their social stature. In a lot of places in the world. We got Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela. This is to the south of us, connected to us. But even Mexico. Living those ways and not getting ahead. Not getting ahead at all. Just going to pieces. Venezuela being the worst. And that just happened. I mean, that is almost current history. It just happened and it's still happening. People out there digging in garbage to find food. And what are we doing? We're trying to do the same thing here. Trying to do the same thing here. And we open up our border, and guess what? These people will come in. I don't blame them. I would try it if I was in the same situation. I would try it too. Just to get grasp of that freedom that we have, that we're trying to give away. Think about it. Put yourself in their place. Would you do it? Would you make that hike? Risk death for the freedom of this country? They're risking their lives already. We're afraid. We're afraid to speak up because we might go to jail or we might be banned. Wow. They are risking life fleeing what we're trying to make here. I really think it's going to blow up on them, on the government, when they find out these people are intelligent. Because these colleges and universities, they think these people, these illegal people, are unintelligent. They don't have any brains. We can mold them and make them. I am hoping and praying that they prove them wrong, big time. Praying and hoping it'll backfire on them. We got a lot of work to do. Sunday, the rally in Texas showed a documentary. One county. This year so far, over 200 bodies found in this county. Died trying to cross the border for freedom. And we're trying to give it away. And we don't see it. We don't see it. They see it, they're escaping. But we don't want to get as bad as it is in other countries before we see it and correct it. We become too placid, sitting comfortable. Yeah, we have things a lot don't have. I don't know of too many people, even the poorest in the United States, except for the people living on the streets and in tents and stuff. But the vast majority has just as much as the other. The TV, the car, the food to eat, gas to go wherever they want. I know it's expensive, but we still have it. So people aren't opening their eyes because everybody basically is privileged right now. But as you can see, the gas prices go up, food gets off the shelves. We're losing it. We're losing it big time. I was watching an article a couple of days ago. People think there's only so much money that can be made. That's why these socialists want to stop the billionaires. But they think the billionaires are soaking up all the money, and there'll be less for them to get. Well, sounds good. Yeah, let's stop them from making more money. They'll take all of our money, and then we won't have none. That's not the way it works. 90% of the billionaires give at least, they said it was 20% that they keep for themselves on the average. 20% of their income, these billionaires keep to themselves. The rest they put back into their companies, investments of whatever. Investments bring money, brings jobs, brings growth, brings more money. But these people are narrow-minded and they lose their peripheral vision. They're in tunnel vision. Just see the one thing. We've got to look at the big picture. out there providing, they're out there building new business, investing, creating new jobs, and that helps other people. We need more billionaires. The more billionaires we have, the more money will be spent and growth will come. We can't stop the billionaires. We can't take their money and say, you owe us this because you're killing our money. You're killing our money supply. You can all our money. No, it just, they're funding our money. They're making it so we can have money. These are the things we are fighting for, folks. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. When you tax higher incomes hurting us, you stop them from making that, where they have to go out and retire, live on their yacht. They're gonna spend money. They're not going. I mean, they're going to keep their money. They won't spend it. It won't be fluid. It'll stop, and our growth will stop along with it. They call it the 1%. That 1% is what keeps us going, keeps us thriving, keeps us employed. There's a few exceptions, yeah. There's that. I said most of them, even jokers, intentionally the same thing. They're creating growth, even in their stubborn ways and their selfish ways. Because even the bad actors have to spend money too. Even the bad, when they're financing these groups, unfortunately, they're increasing the wealth. You have a good day, Ann. Hope to see you soon. Come back to visit. You can even come on here if you want to, whenever you come in. I'm open to everybody. Oh, yeah, I have the link up. I had to look, make sure I had the link up. Everybody's welcome to come in and talk, tell their opinion, tell their side, unless it goes overboard. And like I said at the beginning, people come in, try to create havoc, cause a stir. My channel, my opinion, and I'm not the type to throw you out just because I disagree with you. I'm not saying that. If you get disruptive, get pushy, get loud, get vulgar, this is why I'll kick you out. But until then, I'm open for a friendly discussion. And like I said, we can agree to disagree. That's what this world is all about. What makes us unique? Like I said, if we were all the same, it would be so boring. We all look alike. It would be so boring. Lose interest. We had no motivation to do anything. Life is about differences, different opinions, different ways of living, different foods, you name it. Everything's different. Doesn't mean we can't agree on something and we can't get along. If we call people names because they think something entirely different than you is wrong. It's not love. It's crying shame that people get so upset because you don't see it their way. Thank you very much, Ann. You're still on. Love you to death. Love each and every one of you to death. We've got to do it. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Everybody in this room, you go out, spread the word about Jesus, about God, the Constitution. It changed this world. Change this world for the better. It's like what the young fellow said to the atheist, to the devil worshiper. The devil, she wasn't a worshiper, she listened to demons. I might have to watch that a few more times. But I liked the way he presented it. I loved it. We need a lot more preachers like that. Straighten up our churches. Let people understand you can't fight, you can't hate people because they're not a Christian. I guess that's the main thing of this subject right now. Love for God and love for fellow man. We all unite and get together. We won't be 100%. This is all like there's people disagree on everything. But we can get the majority. We can start the wave going, the tsunami going, and clean up this dirty, rotten mess, and not be slumlords. And I can't stress that enough. We are slumlords of this world. We're sitting back and letting it go. Sitting in the back, saying what will be, will be. I shouldn't use that term because that was what they used years ago for what's the que sera, sera. Anybody remember that song? That's what they use as their theme song because I think they still use it. I don't know. What's the coalition? What? Well, I have to check into that. They did that quietly and unexpectedly. We're talking about California, New York. That is wild. Yeah, that will hurt. That will drive prices up. Why is that? You know why that is? Does everybody know why they don't want to use natural gas? Well, the key word is the first word, natural. You go to an oil rig, an oil drilling site, which we had in East Canton, Ohio, where I lived growing up until I was 17. They hit oil. They had to pass laws. One well on every 10 acres. It had to be 10 acres separate, 10 acres apart. The guy that owned the most land around us drove right underneath us. Another thing, he had the mineral rights. Smart, kept the mineral rights when he sold the properties. But they had so much oil that oil companies said, when I was selected to go to Europe with the Ohio Youth Choir, 150 of us throughout the state, people gave me donations. And one of my big donors was the oil companies. And I asked them, will we ever run out of oil here? Will you ever pump it dry? And the gentleman, the exec said, we could pump it ship it out 24/7, in and out as fast as we could go for years and not put a dent in it. Not put a dent in it. That's our prayer, Mel. That's our prayer. Should be a happy place. Should be a good place to live. That's up to us. That's up to us to live here, to bring it to ourselves. But back to oil, he said they could pump for 200 years solid and not put a dent in it. Well, it wasn't. This is Jimmy Carter come in the 70s. This was in 66. In the 70s, what we had with Jimmy Carter? What happened? He shut off all the oil pumping, the natural gas, all the pumping and drilling. He cut it all off, and we had gas lines, gas shortage, everything, a nightmare. We could only get our plates was odd or even. We had certain days we could get gas, and then you had to wait in line all day to get a tank of gas. But anyway, back to what I was talking about, the natural gas. Natural gas on these oil rigs are burned off. It's burned off. You see the fires at the top of the oil rigs in pictures. That's what it is, the natural gas burning off. And you know why they want to stop it? Because it's free. It don't make any money. It doesn't make money for them. So they'll just ban it. That way they won't have to worry about it. But probably the best resource we have, the cheapest resource. Even vehicles were run on natural gas until they started cutting back on natural gas. People in West Virginia that had their land there, they could get free natural gas if they had their farm by giving the natural gas rights or the oil rights, mineral rights to the companies. They got natural gas for life. Things like that. If they want to hurt us or stop us or make things go up, that's the big reason to start it. We have to open our eyes and realize these things. Understand what's going on. Understand everything. No, we're not going to understand everything. I don't mean it that way. We'll never understand everything. We'll never know the logic of all of it. Because some of it, there is no logic, no common sense, nothing. That's why we had to stop it. Stop it now. Stop it now. I keep looking up my screen up there. I don't have anything on it, so that's why I keep looking up. So I'm going to turn it off so I won't pay attention to it. Anybody get any ideas on this? In the chat. Yeah, Malcolm, we could make this world a very happy place. And a lot of talk, a lot of songs come together, even by the Beatles. Beatles. A lot of things that we could do. And remember the old song, We Are the World? All of it points to it. We'll never have a utopia. We'll never will have a utopia. That's true. That's true, Carol. Canton and Maslin was a big big thing with the steel. Can't Republic Steel, they shut it down, and that was mainly because of government. They cut the Pittsburgh Steel, the Canton Steel, the Canton Republic, and prices went up very quick, very quick. It's still a very important place. That's why this recent train disaster is questionable. What are they trying to shut down in that area? Was it sabotage? Was there a reason? A lot of things happen in that area that dictate the way the country goes. A lot of things. And that's just one place in the country, one section of the country. Rich with minerals, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, even Tennessee. Rich in minerals with the things we need. The last time I was up there was right before, it was in 2020. 2020. The gas companies, the steel companies were all back in full swing after Trump come in. People were working. People were getting jobs, working. But guess what? It was short-lived. Now they're on the street, doing their drugs, doing their meth, and just going down, down, down. This is the things that we're fighting for. This is our freedoms that we're fighting for. As we see these things going on, and we don't do nothing about it. Nothing. Nothing at all. That's right, Lynn. But there are ways. There are ways. I believe the electric cars will bust us. They will bust us. And there's no way to get this power without other alternatives besides battery. You have to have power to charge these batteries. It's just like the interview with the General Motors lady executive. I believe it was in Flint. It may have been Detroit. But asking her where they got the power for the power stations in front of in the town where she was giving their demonstrations. She said, we just plug into the electric grid. And they asked, well, where does the electric grid get it from? She said, so they run the powers out, the lines out of town, and the reporters still come back at her and say, well, where does that go to? To the electric plant. Finally, he told her, don't they have to use fossil fuels to power the power plants, to generate the electricity? And she was dumbfounded. Kind of like some of the things that AOC comes up with. We elect these people for this nonsensical garbage that we know we could never change. Get rid of cows because they create methane gas. Good call. Will go away now. Well, something's going on because I've been on a few of the live streams today watching, and it's doing the same thing to me, cutting off and on. It's not buffering. It's a cut in the connection. Just like a millisecond. Really weird. Really weird. I don't know what to think. They're not trying to shut me off. It is distracting. It is distracting. Oh, this is a very good. This is a very good point, Carol. They pass the bills in the middle of the night where we won't be watching. We won't be watching C-SPAN. Most of us are in bed, and we could care less. Bored. A lot of people watch during the daytime, but if they do it in the night, it cuts it down quite significantly. And they put all their pork and all their stuff in it to pay off these senators, so they will vote for that particular bill. The corruption and the graft and the lobbying, the money that changes hands to get these things passed. We need to get rid of 99% of it and not pass any bills on over 10 pages. But they got to get their lawyers, and they have lawyers. You got to vote for lawyers so they can figure out the law terms in all these bills while they snicker us because we don't know what it's saying. It's like the lawyers with prejudice or without prejudice. People don't know what it means. And they don't take the time to look it up, see what it means. So they've got us because of our laziness. Our I don't care attitude. And we've become complacent and lazy. We've got to stop being lazy. And I'm guilty too. I'll procrastinate. I'll put things off. I'll save it for later. I'm trying to work on it, trying to get it better. There's a lot of things I need to do. A lot of things I need to get accomplished. Letting people know is one of the most important, though. Letting y'all know what's going on. Try to find these things. Oh, on one of the chats this morning, they said that Buckingham Palace was attacked, but I don't think it was Buckingham Palace. It was the Kremlin. It was on the Wall Street Journal that the Kremlin was attacked by drones, but they shot it down before it did too much damage. And Putin was at his mansion somewhere else. But this stuff is going on all over. All over. Assassination attempts, war. Putting one country in front of the other country. And playing monkey in the middle. I did not say that. I didn't mean anything obnoxious about it, but that's the game we played when I was a youngster. Didn't mean anything towards anybody or any person. Please don't take offense. It's just a saying. Just a saying, not referring to anything else. A lot of things we can't say anymore. It's just plumb ridiculous. It's crazy. Crazy what offends people and how it offends people. We need to grow a thick skin. We need to be able to take this stuff. If anything would happen, we'd be in trouble because we're so thin-skinned. We wouldn't fight back, and it would be a walk-on victory if another country was to come and try to take over. Hopefully, we haven't gone that far. But unfortunately, I think we have gone that far. We are in a precarious time now. Anything could happen. Anything. We've got things happening around it, and you name it, going on out there. Sending the balloons flying across the world. And one country is as guilty of it as the other. The United States did it, testing atomic and nuclear weapons, putting it out over the ocean and on a balloon and detonating it. Did all kinds of tests like that. And we wonder why we've come this far with things that are happening. Yes, that is good, Carol. I like that. Yes, a lot about her, and that's the way we need to be. Quit messing around with this hurt feeling stuff. It's like it is, and it isn't derogatory. It's not derogatory at all. But people take offense by it. People take by it. And just like even today, I saw somebody on when I'm at use an old term for Italian that I hadn't heard in a long time. And his last name was Pazzo. But we had to laugh at ourselves. We had to have fun with ourselves. People get mad because of names, and some of them aren't even derogatory or negative, but they just get a hurt on and they don't let it go. I lived in a time when everybody was something or other. We didn't get hurt unless it was meant in a mean way or as an actual physical attack. Yahoo! Everybody got linked there. You know, that's another crime thing. That is another thing. He didn't collect enough to pay the attorney off before he went to court. Convicted? Oh, it got denied. Okay. What a way to put it. What a way to put it. I'm not going to put it up, but everybody go to that link. Rock Church pastor's efforts to get protester convicted of stalking. Protester convicted of stalking is denied by judge. They use terms to try to convict you before they even get to the article. The way they put things. This is what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about with our media. They push their agenda and say it the way they say it, but we can't call a person a name, but they can say a disgruntled Republican or a protester He's a protester, yeah, but the way they put it, stalking, it was stalking, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, a friend of mine and I was talking about that last night. She said, "Well, he's the kind that helps. This friend was kind that helps people that are in trouble. He helps them out. He's a Christian, studied for the ministry, but the churches wouldn't give him a license because he'd been married before and had been in jail. But he gives, he helps." He said, "Well, what if the pastor was trying to help this help the soul of this poor girl?" And I told him, "I don't think that was the case, but I hope you take lesson from it, not to do it and to have witnesses what you're doing, your intentions when you do it, when you give to help people. But they conduct these things." This pastor might have said, "Well, I was going because I knew that maybe I could help or whatever, help them with their soul or whatever." They tell their congregation. These police things are set up to be factual, the right evidence, and they do it because people try to slip their way out of them. He went to the intentions of doing that because in most cases they get video, audio, money changing hands. They wait till a certain point before they slap the cuffs on them. They have to convict themselves before they arrest them. They can tell their congregation whatever they want to tell them. And that's the big difference between helping somebody spiritually or what have you, or financially. The big difference. These police things like that, they cover their butts. They do it by the book. And certain things have to happen before they do arrest them. Otherwise, it's a false arrest. In those cases, they don't want a false arrest. They want a case. Carol, I think he's talking about Kennedy from from Louisiana, which is not what part of the Kennedy clan. He's more of a comical but straight talking Republican, conservative. No, we don't want Kennedys or Bushes or Clintons. That's for sure. That is for sure. I'll have to read this article later. But you know what got me about the case with Buffalo? He could not get enough money. Over 200 people liked his page, and he couldn't raise the money. He has to come up with more. Has to come up with more. That's a shame. It should have been no doubt with the followers that he has, subscribers he has, the people that like him and champion with him, they could not come up with the funds to pay that attorney off. Or if you talk garbage, come up with the garbage that they're talking about, the hatred, talking about people, and they can make it within an hour to get somebody out of jail. I am really sad and disappointed. I am really ashamed. I couldn't give much, but I gave. That's a shame that he has to practically beg. I mean, beg to get it. Shame, shame, shame on us. Shame. That's right, Casey. JFK now would be considered a Republican. No doubt. As Teddy as Democrat from the Biden and Jack Kennedy, they were Republicans. We're Democrats in name only. Yeah, I am so disappointed. So disappointed. I mean, that's another reason why people are giving up. That's another reason why people don't want to stand up, because nobody will back them. Nobody will back them. I just don't understand. I know people act like we're scamming them, or as live streamers, we're scamming people for money. But folks, there's no money in it. Except for if you want to be like a Jerry Springer and put out entertainment spew. There's no money in it. There's some good channels out there that are making good money, getting rich, in fact. I mean, there are people that put on a good program, and it's entertainment. It's like watching a movie, and they deserve it, every bit of it, because they work hard on whatever they're doing to show their show. Some of them are farmers. Some of them, all kinds of things, whatever their occupation might be. And they're interesting, and people like them, and they give to them, and they make money. But this is a sore subject, and there's no money in it, so there's no grifting. If you did this for the money, you'd be insane. You'd be crazy, because there is no money. No money. It's like Rue was saying the other day, she'd be in the poorhouse if she had to depend on it. And I agree. I'm almost in the poorhouse, but I don't depend on this for my income. But each and every one of us are viewer funded. Buffalo, eggs, viewer funded. If the viewer don't help out, if the fans or whatever you want to call them, if their likes, their subs, they don't help out, they don't make nothing. Don't make nothing at all. And they're doing it for you and me. They're doing it for us. Get the word out. Get the movement going. Straighten up this country. It just breaks my heart when people accuse somebody of being a deadbeat because they're trying to do something other than what they would call uh, a backbreaking job or whatever. It is a job. They are doing a job. You want to make these movie stars rich watching their movies and paying to go to the movie theater and everything, but you and these, well, look at the money being thrown around with Tucker Carlson, the amount of money he could make, or he's being offered. He's doing the same doggone thing. Why? Because people contribute either directly or indirectly. They join Fox Nation, which was part of Tucker's doing. And he deserves recognition. Deserves it. These ministers in the church taking all the money and investing in it, getting richer, buying holdings, real estate, you name it, getting rich. But people thinking that they're giving to the Lord are giving it to these thieves, which they're thieves. They go and invest it, buy big property, and don't give it to the poor, and don't help the needy, and don't help the veterans. They're thieves. They are stealing from God Almighty. If they're putting a big percentage into helping the poor and needy, fine. But I don't know of any case that they are, especially in none of these mega churches. None of them. If I'm wrong, let me know. Give me an example. But I know of none. You had Oral Roberts a while back. The Lord told me if you didn't give me $8 million, He would take me. People gave me $8 million, and the devil didn't take him. I don't know. He might have passed. I don't know. Here lately, I don't keep up with it. But that's what they do. The people, in the name of God, give their hard-earned money to these thieves, these false prophets. We need to straighten up our churches. We need to find people that tell the truth, tell the gospel, and tell it like it is, and not try to con people. That's con. That's con by everything. Let's keep time. It's a shame. I tell you what, when I go to Charlene's, boy, she fixes the feast. Oh boy. And thank you, Charlene and Slim. Great patriots. Great patriots. When they had Kentucky and all of them there, she treated them quite good. Quite good. And they're true to what they think and what they believe. They are getting ready for a future that's not good. They're walking the walk, talking the talk. Fantastic patriots. But anyway, been on here 2 hours. Starting to get dry. And hopefully I can come up with more information. Hopefully I can get stuff where I can show up properly. I'm working on it. You know, I like breakfast food for supper too. I switch them all the time. Switch them all the time. But it's good. good. That's gives you a variety, changes your way. You don't get stuck in the rut. Which we are stuck in a rut when it comes to this country. Maybe we've eaten too good and go to sleep without being hungry. Most of us could be thankful for that. Most of us. Hey, we got a lot to be thankful for. But we have more to condemn and do away with. It's a shame. It's a shame what's going on. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. I was thinking today about making eggs and bacon for me, but I didn't. I didn't. So I'll wait for the weekend. Bacon. It usually comes down to getting the bacon on Sunday with the eggs, bacon, egg, and pancakes on the weekend when the girls are with me or whatever. Good having you, Malcolm. I hope you've enjoyed it. You take care of England there. Get the word out there too. That we all need it all around the world. All around the world, we've become complacent. Well, a lot of the countries are becoming disasters. They go and vote here in the U.S. to send money over there. It's going to the rich, to the governments, and they're not helping the people. Not helping the people at all. They don't care about the people. We can send tons of money there. They won't help the people. We need to stop and help ourselves and correct the problems in the other countries. Those that are trying to destroy them everywhere around the world. Everywhere. Everywhere. It's sad to see how it is. And we just turn our head, look the other direction, hold our nose, and let them send the money. I'm bewildered. I'm lost. They think it'll help. It makes them feel good. They're taking the graft, the lobbyist monies, and by helping another country, it makes them feel better. Feel better funds. Well, they don't need to feel better. They need to do their job and do the job for us. Plain and simple. In every country. All around the world, people need to rise up and tell them enough's enough. Stop the crap. Thank you, Carol. Always appreciated. Always appreciated. Yeah, hopefully I'll have some field trips soon. I would like to take people out and show them, Florida in the wild, things that people don't think of when they think of Florida. But I'm just me. I'm just me. I'll tell you what, I need to get off here. I need to go do a few things. I've enjoyed the time. I've enjoyed the day. Thank everybody for cooperating. Thank everybody for listening, especially. I love each and every one of you. Come on back. And remember, let's cover this world with love. Have a great afternoon, evening. Talk to you later. Hey, Kelly. Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying your trip. Beautiful video last night. Beautiful. I've never been. Want to go. Makes me want to go for sure. Okay, guys, spread the love around the world, and everybody learn to do that 10 commandment. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Y'all have a good one. Bye now.